Hello, welcome to Friday. Today's question is, what is in it for me? So with our individual projects or GameBee, if GameBee is your project, how would you sell it to someone else? How would you answer to somebody, what's in it for me? And I don't want to start with my projects. My brain's still waking up. I'm trying to have my second coffee. So if someone else wants to start, that'd be great.
I can start. And Bentley, I can't actually hear you. I'm not sure if I've heard you yet, so I'm not sure if you're having mic issues again. Yeah, I'll keep going. All right, so what's in it for me? For Wiki Election and just the conversation around fighting misinformation in general, I mean, I've had this conversation, I think 1,000 times over the last couple of months, where I think just globally we're in a trust vacuum right now, and that affects everything. That affects the ability, for people to actually know what's going on, and for important things, whether it's the coronavirus, whether it's vaccines in general, whether it's climate change, for all of those things. It's hard for people to know what to trust if they don't trust the government or the media, and they don't know which experts being shown are actually worthy of trust, especially if they conflict with each other, which obviously I think that makes it clear what's in it for the average person. But like for what's in it from a Game A space, I think a part of it is both like corporations and governments are now fighting a very uphill battle when it comes to like, if you actually have something worthy of sharing and you have something that you think is true, how do you differentiate that from all the other noise out there? And so I think it's being able to get your point across in a way that is hopefully worthy of trust. Unfortunately for them, it means that if it's not worthy of trust, that's not the point. It's not to let anybody talk. It's to let what's trustworthy get to the top. So I guess that's kind of it. Is if your story is worth telling, then ideally it should surface and it should be given more weight amongst all the other noise. I don't know who wants to go next. You're on mute, Ben.
All right. Is that better?
Yep.
All right. Yeah. So for Reason Score, there's several different. Since it's kind of a tool that fits in other things, there's several different use cases. So for like the GoalieBot version, it's just kind of a resource like PolitiFact or Snopes, except that it gets into deeper, broader subjects. And then with this, you can also be a part of that fact-finding process. So you can add facts to it. You could suggest them in the GoalieBot process. And since all the suggestions are on Twitter, anyone can see if I've ignored your suggestion, or if GoalieBot has. So it'd just be kind of a central resource for facts and stuff. And then the Reason Score tool, I hope it'll be useful later on for people, like if you're trying to make a decision in an open cooperative or a group, kind of like this, if there's a contentious issue, maybe it would help with that, where you want to use evidence to make the decision, usually on large decisions. And and then for the GoalieBot side, just go back to that. If you're trying to vote on some initiative in your town, city, or federal government, it would be a resource to go to get a lay of all the facts and the evidence. So that, I think that would cover it, most of it.
I can go next. My coffee's kicked in a little bit. Although now there's a kid screaming in the next room, so that's fun. What is my project? I was gonna say Reason Score, that's not the name. Solution Raising. What's in it for people is I will get rid of all of your screaming children. That is the next solution raising. I don't know whether to answer it for right now or the future solution raising. And so I will answer it for right now. To come to solution raising, what's in it for you? Because if you don't know what's in it for you, you're probably not my people yet. So that is fine. But for the right person, what's in it for them is to be able to come have a conversation and generate actual solutions that are feasibly possible. And so to be part of a hopeful conversation that these things are doable without needing mass buy-in at the billions level, can be at the thousands level, and we can have massive impact right away. And then it's finding the people to get to be a part of figuring out how we actually create a process for 10,000 people and figure out the infrastructure and technology we need to be able to do that whole process. So that's what's in it for them.
Matush, do you want to go? You go first, Matush.
Okay. So my project's name is Hyperlogos, and it's a data mapping and visualization tool, which is something I wanted to do for many years. And I finally got to the stage when I can start showing it more publicly and possibly get some help, something like that. So what's in it for me is basically getting this thing done, or at least in progress. So something like getting my dream real, which is very important to me. And I see it as like doing my own thing, which I would be doing anyway, but in this context, of Game B, the possibilities are much broader than in like normal context, so to speak. And I hope for it to be useful not only to myself as originally intended, but also for other people and for general public, hopefully. So that's my thing.
Okay, so about the third place, what's in it for me? I think it's more to do with sort of like human connection, and that you don't need pounds or algorithms to actually find each other, and to actually create a space that people can drop into without any barriers, and help them to develop things that they want to go off and do, and help them and provide art stuff. So I think what's in it for me is just that a sense of belonging, and not being made to feel less than, I suppose. You know what I mean? So and being part of a bigger network which is connected with others as well. So I think that's the biggest main thing, because the money doesn't motivate me at all. I wish it did, because then I'd probably like, yeah, you could do this, that, and the other if I was one of them. But probably wouldn't appeal to Game A players, because they wouldn't understand it. Because to them, humans don't really have much value at all, you know. But tech apps and everything and what have you, they do. But I'm more interested in the conversations and the human connection, and that's what's in it for me.
Except when I feel like the question was also a little weirdly stated. But like, what's in it for me? Like, what's in it for me? Jubilee for solution raising? Well, I know what's in it for me. That's why I'm there. But like, what's in it for me? The random new person, right? Like the customer, that either a Game A or Game B. Like, why would they get involved right now, right? And what would their biggest piece be? Anyway, but that was. Then I write out the question. How it is heard is how it is answered, which is how it's kind of supposed to be. So you can open up the conversation from here. That's the Idea Cafe. That's what it's designed to do. Each answer, then we can have an open conversation, which doesn't work. Everyone's muted.
And this is kind of out of the spirit of Idea Cafe, but just diving right in. So, Marchus, have you heard of Open Global Mind yet?
Yes, I heard about it. Not that I actually.
So it's just a group
of
of people that are trying to create sense-making tools as a community, or use sense-making tools and create them. Put a link in the chat. But they might be interested in seeing what you've built, and maybe contributing to some of the design if you're open to that, or just using your tool.
Please, designer is someone I really need, because I can do code. Design is I can do some of it, but yeah.
Yeah, and they're really loosely, it's a loose group of people, so it might be a little. Sometimes it's frustrating to come into a community that all want. It's like Game B, right? Everyone wants to do something, but they all have different ideas on how it is. But I'm finding it interesting. They have at least one weekly meeting. But check out the website, watch the videos. It's Jerry Makowski, who has Jerry's Brain. He's been using a mind mapping tool, which you've probably seen, the Brain, for 20 years now. So it's pretty big.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting him. So yeah, he's awesome.
So he's heading up Open Global Mind. So if you have trouble like finding the way into those meetings, just let me know and I'll figure it out.
Yep.
For the record, I also wouldn't mind having a meeting with you, Mateusz, just to see your project, because data visualization is also something I'm extremely interested in. So
yeah, when's the big unveiling party, the release party?
Well, it almost happened like a few months ago when I was almost ready. And it's always this 1 week before I am actually ready. So we've... Oh, no, I still cannot screen share here. So not today, but...
if you want, one of the things that might help is if like me and you, maybe even Bentley, like do a Zoom meeting outside of his time and record it. We don't necessarily have to publish that video as is, but there might end up being like a really good, 5 or 10 minute clip that you can snip out. And that might be a good intro. Like if you want to, sort of have a teaser, it won't be necessarily nice to look at. And it might be a little bit meandering just because of how those conversations go. But I personally like using that sort of thing as like the very first type of content available.
Awesome. That's a very good idea. And yeah, let's do it.
What sort of designer are you looking for?
Well, someone who can tell me where the pixels are not right and stuff like design in terms of user experience. Because everything that a developer does is kind of biased, especially if it's done like in alone mode. Totally biased. And then someone who has experience in user interaction can take a look and say, okay, this is rubbish because a standard user is not going to be able to find stuff or know how to do like lots of things, and it will be I think you've seen it, so I guess for you it was kind of a weird experience to try using it.
Yes, I broke it. Which I didn't mean to. Because the reason why I ask is I've seen someone who was UI and UX who's just joined the project group, so I'll need to go back and look who that is. Maybe they could help out, because it just needs to know like what you're looking for.
I was making like last minute changes and updates to make it more useful, and yeah, I guess when we have this quick Zoom meeting and I present what I have currently, then we'll be able to talk more about the next steps and announcing it more publicly, and then the person will
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also take a look.
I'm forgetting her name because I've just seen, like, I'm following her project. The 2-row flow commons. If somebody knows her name, please say it. But she's actually like a UI designer. That's her thing, and that's like the project that she's in Game B4 is the 2-row flow something commons. Forget the full name. But yeah, that's her specialty. So that might be also that might be a good thing. Like if I from what I'm hearing, it sounds like one of the challenges that you're having right now is being able to explain it in a way that would get people interested. And that might be a good outcome from the meeting with me and Bentley, is to sort of put that into terms that maybe we can find some snippet somewhere in there that then you can start to shop that clip around to say, hey, does this thing sound interesting?
That would be totally awesome, because it has so many angles, and it's really a project that started literally 25 years ago as something different, but also connected to the general theme of visualization. And yeah, it's difficult to say what exactly it is and what it should be doing, because it's way too general. So on the meeting, I will explain more. And when you see it, you will understand.
Perfect. I think that will probably be a good combo, because Bentley is actually a developer and sort of UI UX focused, and I'm not a developer and UI UX focused. So that those sort of two sides of that coin, I imagine, will probably be a good mix for some initial feedback. And then if you can chop that around to, still can't remember her name, but like some of the people in the group who are like really, UI UX will focus and trained, then that will hopefully get you to where you need to be.
So one thing to answer the question that started this meeting is what's in it for me, and what would be in it for some people who have projects or started doing something, is getting it to the public. And what I mean is slowly do the unveiling of the thing, and because how I feel about making it more public is there is some kind of fear of embarrassment about this thing maybe not being not having enough relevance and not being good enough. And when you work on something for long enough, it makes you feel at least uneasy to make it public, because the dream can be just. So for everyone who is watching, I guess the game B setting can be perfect for just this, helping with first assessment of the project, and then helping with taking it further from the standalone developer having a dream mode to something that actually works and is used by other people. So yeah.
I think Bentley wanted to say something in the midst of it.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to mention that I was telling my wife I think I'm going to do training in user experience.
Nice.
And shift my career a little bit that way. Keep doing the software development, but it's a little bit more fun.
Totally.
Not so much time fiddling with things. So.
Is user experience something you need to have a lot of technical background for?
No.
It helps to have like a base, but like
not a lot.
Yeah, like just enough so you can have some conversation. But honestly, sometimes it actually helps to not have a lot, because then
exactly
the more you have, the more that you can get like mired in technical conversations with developers and architects. And sometimes it helps just to be able to say, I don't know how it works, I don't care, just here's how it should look and act. And you don't really have to be technical to be able to say, like, I find that confusing. Sometimes it helps to not be technical for that part.
It does help to be detail oriented, and as opposed to like a designer would be more artistically oriented. But user experience, it can be like, oh, this button is too far away from this other button, so it does actually get a bit fidgety. But like, moving this button to the other side of the screen would be fewer movements for the person. Most people are right-handed, but some people are left-handed, so you need to make it switch over there. So it's all about kind of placement and colors, and using cognitive science on helping people make apps as useful as possible. And there's a lot of studies on contrast and distance and stuff like that. So
yeah, there's also a lot to be said for trying to keep with standards across other applications, because people carry a lot of the same sort of training and like how to use software from app to app. And if you're trying to reinvent the wheel, that can be a real barrier to people understanding what's going on. Even though it might make sense standalone, you're like, I think that this is better. If it's in a huge contrast, it ends up really hampering adoption.
Yeah. Sometimes you want to break the rules, but like that hamburger menu everyone complains about, but people are now trained for the last 5 years
Yep.
that that's a menu button, so we're kind of stuck with it till something else changes.
And kind of like how the save button is still a floppy disk, even though those haven't existed for
Yeah, I've been
however
trying to
long.
think of what to do. And then I was having an issue because you can like save to the cloud, you can save to your desktop, you can save it in your browser, but if you go to another browser, it won't exist there. Or if you lose all your cookies and history, if you erase your history. So giving them the concept, and then there's also like in-memory saving, like did I actually make the change to the data locally, and then where is it stored in all those 3 places? I'm like, wow, how do I explain that?
Yeah, it's tough. The funny thing is that even though people don't understand the floppy disk, they now associate that with saving. And like there's, stories from parents who like they saw a floppy disk and their kid is like, oh, cool, somebody 3D printed the save icon.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's actually the save icon is based on. But I mean, it's kind of like how the phone icon is like the old, handset,
Yeah.
even though most kids have never seen one of those. And it's still like they associate that with the phone, but the shape is completely like, why is that the shape? No, whatever. I just associate that with the phone.
That'd be funny if the button on a cell phone was a picture of a cell phone.
Yeah, you're just like, what? It's just a rectangle with icons inside a rectangle with icons instead of
And
rectangle
it is
with
the
icons.
thing I'm
What's
using.
happening?
So what's the button? What's pressing the button do?
That is actually really weird that an entire generation doesn't know what all these things are. I mean, because I'm deaf in one ear, a lot of people get a tattoo or something of the speaker with a line through it, right? Because that's what mute is.
Oh, that's cool.
And yet speakers also aren't really something that you often see, like
They're so
they're
small
more because you do still have external speakers when you want much better sound, but not as much as, it was basically given.
It's also a weird one because the speaker icon is a part of the speaker that most people don't see, where it's sort of like the cone and the driver. And you're like, why do we associate that? Well, they had to pick an icon, and now people know that as the sound, even though they don't know why.
Yeah, and
There's all these icons that we associate with something that most people now couldn't pinpoint why.
And yet they were only here for a very small period of our history. It's not like we've had a phone since, the 1800s. We haven't had a phone since. Now I'm wondering, when did the phone get invented again? Maybe it was the late 1800s. But like not in the 1700s. I will stand by that. Yeah. There was not a phone in the 1700s.
And the phone in the 1800s or whenever it was actually developed didn't have that form factor. It wasn't that, right? It was like the separate thing and the cone you held to your ear with the cable and the weird thing you spoke into. I want to make that be the phone icon.
There's a special psychological term for this, like reappropriation of something and turning it into something new, leaving the old form. I don't remember what the word is.
I was trying to think of that.
I didn't know there was a word.
It's not anthropomorphizing.
No, it's starting with H.
Like even in Doctor Who, that they use the phone box, and the phone box is like it was something so innocuous that it could just be anywhere when he would land, anywhere in Britain. But whatever, he only went to Britain anyway. And then now it would stand out like a sore thumb, like a phone box. Where is Superman supposed to change? Where are these things?
I was at a police box, which is like a TARDIS, on Thursday because they have all these pop-up shops outside these TARDISes being painted light blue instead of dark blue.
Mm-hmm. And these are the kind of things you don't orchestrate, right? I don't think anyone was sitting around being like, let's get rid of phone books, phone booths. Phone books, yes. Can we please get rid of those? There's still a few kicking around. Just some people.
The kids wouldn't even get the scene in Superman, the movie, when Superman goes running to try and find a place to change, and he looks over, and the phone booths that just go from like the waist up to just above your head, like that, just that little half circle thing, and he's like, he has to go find some place else to change, and now he just like runs real fast, and he just like takes his clothes off in high speed, like he's the Flash.
That's part of like watching Jetsons which is horrible. Jetsons and Star Trek, both of which were done in like the 60s, 80s, 90s, and their idea of the future when we've come so far and yet not so far at the same time. And these are the kind, what Sharon said today in the Game B space, something about, I mean, I read it today, actually, I don't know if she said it today, something about the difference between complex and complicated, and how we can't orchestrate our way out of the complicated, right? One person can't do it. It can't it has to be something complex. And I think there's something in that. Like, it's just the natural emergence of continuing forward that makes these things archaic, not sitting around deciding, neither do we need an icon that's going to last the test of time, because we would not have been able to figure out what those would be, or are we going to let these things fall by the wayside? They just do, and they're obsolete.
I mean, the nice thing about using things like the phone receiver and the floppy disk is that now that they're ingrained, but they've gone away, there kind of won't be any competition for like things that come back that might confuse it. People associate the phone receiver with the phone. There's a good chance we're not going to see something that's that kind of form factor that's, that wouldn't immediately make sense for that. So even like, you don't really have to know what the phone is or what the original thing was. You just see phone, that's the icon. All right, if I see that icon from now on, I'll know that that's a phone.
Yeah.
So we might not need to. It's just weird to explain to people like, no, that used to be a thing, and now it only means that concept, even though you won't see that physical thing anymore.
So it's like a tombstone of the phone.
Yeah, that's funny.
Wow, it's memorial to the phone.
Everyone's frozen but me. That's a problem.
Technology. Let's see. 26 minutes in. Do we want to just jump to any sort of Together Tech or Game B projects discussion?
Yeah, we can. One of the things we can bring up, which I was doing when I was off camera, is one of the things Adriel and I talked about after the camera stopped rolling last time, was if you have other electronic devices, putting either the Facebook or YouTube of us streaming on that device, so it looks like there's more people watching, so that when the odd person pops in, that's probably me watching on another device, the odd person pops in, they don't feel like it's all on, like the spotlight's on them, like it sometimes can feel. So there's 2 or 3 people here, people feel more likely to come in and pop in and out and feel more confident. But that's not, no one feels the need. It's an invitation if you would like to do that.
So we're going to be ghosting then.
Yeah, ghost watching, exactly. And it also, because if there's up to 5, either we could have multiple devices, like there could be 10 of us and it's just us watching. So we also won't know if anyone's actually watching. It works both ways.
Right.
We don't have to feel like someone's watching, and when someone pops in, they can.
Yes, I imagine that would probably help with the algorithm in all sorts of ways. But like afterwards, being like, oh, more people watch this live, so more likely to show it, and it might actually show up for more people during the live version of it. If like, oh, 10 or 15 people are watching this, we'll show it, as opposed to if there's 0 or 1. I don't think it really kicks in to be like, oh, not many people are interested in this because not many people are interested in this.
Yeah.
Okay, there was just one thing I wanted to bring up in the calendar. So I know a few people have said they could do 2 p.m. on a Saturday, alternative weeks. So are you wanting to change them and I can put on the calendar? Or Bentley, is there any other stuff that I need to put on the calendar before I do the project one, which has all the people's projects and events and whatever in the group that they're doing?
I think it's good, except, the link I put on there is to search for the tags. And if it's going to be too challenging for us, I went ahead and tagged the one for today and tomorrow, so they'll show up in that search. So we could either create a new tag just for events and put that on there, and then we don't have to worry about which one has tags. And if you go to that tag, you'll see the events, that are going on, or the live stream, or just whatever we want to. Maybe a live stream tag would be better.
Right.
So we could do that.
Right. So just do the tags for the board meetings and the idea cafes and the round tables.
Yeah, so if you do those, then people will find them. But if we forget to do that, because it's automatically posted when Adriel and Jubilee do it, they don't actually do the post manually. It's not tagged, so it won't show up in the list. So the instructions we gave them to find it won't work.
Right. Okay.
So we need to either change the instructions or add that extra manual step. So that's one
Because
option.
I wanted to get the main one done first, and then
Mhm.
go on to the second one for the community events like Jubilee solution raisins and whatever else
Yeah.
that was happening.
Now, for that one, rather than you having to maintain all that and all the changes, we can, I mean, maybe for Jubilee or for some people, but like if we want to have Cesare put his and the Stoa put, because they were posting one in our group,
Yeah.
we can, I generated a link to where anyone who has that link can put events on there.
All right. Okay.
Now, we don't
Right.
really, if we could share it in the Facebook group on a post, but then everyone on the internet can see it. It's not likely anyone else is going to see it. Just the people in the group, and then anyone could post whatever they wanted. It just be a free-for-all, which is fine, because that's why it's not the main list.
Right, okay.
Although I was thinking, and I might be going this too much, is that when you go to the main screen to look at our things,
Mm-hmm.
it's not, I mean, they are two different colors, but I'd almost like to have two different links, be two completely separate calendars rather than two calendars on the same page. You know what I mean? Two calendars on
Right,
the same
okay.
calendar. That'd be
Right.
my preference, and there might even be a way to create a link to just view one or the other. I think there's a way. Just
Because you can hide the second one. You can hide.
Can you post a link that auto hides it? Right, because
All
I'm not
right.
talking about for me. It's just it'll be confusing to people. People won't be able to find our events if there's all these other events going on. So it'd be
Okay.
nice if they have one link for the official events and one link for the project events.
Because I thought that was what was happening anyway. Is it
So
not?
when I go to the link for the group, they both show up at the same time, and they're two
Okay.
different colors on the
Mhm.
left-hand side, and then you have to turn one off to see the other. So
Right,
it'd be
okay.
nice and I think there is a way to make a link to where you can only see one and a link to see the
Okay.
other.
Yeah,
Still
like
keep them together.
Like adding something to the URL that indicates which thing to enable or disable or something like
Yeah.
that.
Because I know you
But-
can create other calendars, but I don't know whether they would show up on the same link. But I think you can actually create a different link, or maybe if I set up another group for that,
Yeah. So
but then you
yeah,
can give it a separate link.
yeah. We may have to set up a separate group. In which case, the link I created to let people create won't work because they'll have to do a new one. But I think that's the option. And then we could just share it through private chat. Someone who's posting a lot of things, just chat it to them and say, "Hey, throw your events on
Right. Okay.
this calendar."
Right. Okay. Yeah, I
If
think
they
that
want to.
would do.
Also, I don't know if we can within the calendar because I know they're color coded for Together Tech versus not. But as a participant, knowing which ones I am invited to be part of, like what the criteria is to watch it. Criteria is probably not how to watch it. The criteria to participate, where I can watch it if I live, and where I can watch it if I can watch it after it's live. I don't think the calendar can necessarily do all that.
You can
but-
do it as a page in the descriptions. If you're putting the event up, right, you could actually create a page that would show you all that in the description bit.
Yeah. So
I'm just wondering if, like, on the calendar, if I could see, like, I don't know. I know with the STOA, you have to be a member of them, right? So that's part of the criteria, I think, to be part of it. But they might have the odd event you don't need to be a member of to be able to see that. So I'm not going to click on all of the STOAs to find the odd one that, like, to kind of say, like, maybe this is only for ones that are open, so people coming in and participating.
Yeah, because I was thinking it'd be better
on screen.
just for people who are open without them having to join anything. That would be the criteria of sort of like having it just for people, because like obviously you don't want to be putting stuff up there that people have got to get through all sorts of other stuff to get to. Because then that's not
Yeah.
really kind of game B, really, is it? Because I thought game
Now
B
the-
was all about being open to everybody.
Yeah.
No?
This
Entirely. That's my game B. It's not necessarily Stoa's game B.
For the Stoa one, you can register and not be a member and go to those, but that's a fair point. We need to tell anyone posting any things that only post things that you might have to register for, but that that anyone can attend. That there isn't a barrier. So I guess I don't care if you want to then look to see if there's a way to separate those two calendars.
Yeah, we'll do. I will do. I'll have a look at that.
And
Because as I
might
said, I
just be
didn't want to
making a
do the
link.
second one until we got the first one sorted. And what? So are you
Yeah.
happy with the first one then?
I think so. And actually, I don't know if that was Jubilee's point or I just misunderstood her. But yeah, on each one of those, they can go and see the playlists that apply to them, so they can always catch up on the older ones. And then there's
Okay.
instructions on how to get the StreamYard link.
So
Now, if
the
we wa-
Saturday round table then, when are you wanting to start the 2 p.m. ones? Or do you want to get a bit more information first?
I think we can try our first one a week. I was going to do tomorrow, and then I was like, it's probably a little too close. We haven't told people that tomorrow will be 9 a.m. and we'll let people know also that the next week we'll do 2 p.m. Because now that there's a calendar, it was confusing to have Fridays be every other one is a board meeting and an Idea Cafe, and on Saturdays every other one is 9 and 2 without having a calendar to show them which one's which.
Right.
Which I don't know how it might be easier to have it be the first, third, and fifth Saturday are 9 a.m. and the third. Well, the other two are 2 p.m.
Yeah.
The second and fourth. It's like the odds on 9 a.m. There you go. The odds are on 9 a.m. and the evens are on.
Yeah, I would want to
No,
check to make sure that the repeating function in the calendar app we use can handle that easily, so someone's not having
Oh, well, I
to-
think so, but you would have to set up the
It's
Saturday.
the fifth one that's hard.
You'd have to give
do.
them a number, right? Because I know I did it for the board meetings and the Idea Cafe, so I had to set them up as separate.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Even though they were on the same, just recurring one every 2 weeks. You could do the same
Right.
with the board meetings, but
Yeah.
I would need to number them or some way of sort of like generating different ones for those two weeks, and then it would fill them in.
And you could, I don't know, it's probably not appropriate to say morning and evening, but because it's not morning and evening for some people. Maybe
We just call the
Western
second
and
one the
Eastern.
Yellow Brick Road because it's because of Oz and Australia and New Zealand Day, so we call it the Yellow Brick Road table.
Not only them. Like
the Kiwi week.
By the way, anyone in that side of the hemisphere is also welcome to start creating things that are like more on that side's time zone. It's just because it does feel a little North American centric to have everything during our day, and it's like it has to fit in. Heaven forbid you have the Australians and the Europeans working together. We have to keep them separate.
Well, it will be
On
funny.
our time.
It'll be funny because they'll be from the future. We'll be talking to them, and they'll be reporting back from the future because they're a day ahead of us,
Yeah, and I was thinking it's probably going to be confusing. So I guess everything's on Pacific time right now, but when the time zones change for the people in the other, like in UK, it's going to switch. For Carrie, it's going
to October. Because
every time this happens, it's a disaster between all of the conversations we schedule. It takes about 4 weeks to get everything they all change at different times.
Well, what I did, I put the current set of meetings to the end of October because that's when British summertime changes. Because I thought, well, if I go past there, then I've got the changing, and I thought, nah. So I just did it till the end of October till it changed. And then put another set in because obviously people have got, and I don't know when daylight time starts for over the PDPST, PDT. I don't know when Pacific Daylight Time starts.
Well, I still wouldn't separate them to two different things. We just got to pick a time zone. And one option that I did for one of my groups is I picked UTC, but there are no time zones, and that just means universal time coordinate, a universal time coordinated.
Right, is that what it
They
means?
did it in French, so it's
Right.
not, instead of universal coordinated time, it's universal time coordinated. So it's UTC. Of course, you have to say it with an accent.
Ha, you're TC. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, that's just insult a large country. That's why I was about to do it, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, that's not polite anymore.
Previously known as GMT.
Well, no, I mean no, because GMT has daylight savings.
Yeah, that's
Oh, does
BS.
it? Okay.
So UTC does not have
Okay.
daylight savings. So that means when in our summers, if we have daylight savings, it would happen an hour spring forward,
So what months does
an
it
hour
happen
earlier.
for you then? The savings times. What months does it happen for you? Because it changes.
I
Does
don't
it
care.
not happen? No, no, no. 'Cause
I literally, that is not something I'm going to put in my brain. It was
The Australian one is opposite to us though, so we end up being 2 hours different. When
right.
they
For like-
we-
for like a week or something.
no, even longer than that.
Oh,
Like
okay.
our Omega conversation became slightly it's an hour. Like once they change, we're an hour difference. It can be up to 2 hours different during the whole shit show for a few weeks, and then it's an hour difference. It doesn't go back to the same as it was because they're going.
Yeah. So
They
if
go forward, we go
everyone-
backward.
If everyone's okay with it, I would say put everything at UTC, and then each individual they'll see on their calendar, they'll have to know it's 9 o'clock during the winter and 10 o'clock during the summer.
Okay.
Because
So
you live in a
what
country
we're
that's
setting
an
it at
idiot
then,
like
and we're
mine.
setting it at Pacific
I mean,
time.
so that's just a suggestion. Let's see what everyone else thinks.
Out of curiosity,
I'm-
I've just put a link in the private chat. I'm wondering, like, if Carrie or Matoush used that link, what time zone is it showing you as? Because I put one in earlier that filters it down to just the calendar, but like it was a big long URL that contained my time zone.
Right. Okay, all
It's
right.
not
So
my
wondering-
time.
It's not your time, Kat. So
No.
but the fact that we can put the time zone means we might even be able to put like, here's the main calendar, and then put 3 or 4 links that would translate it to that time zone. So like do one for PST, one for UTC, one for I don't know, one of the Australian times.
So you sent the one without the time zone. I mean, I would rather have it without the time zone because it tries to auto detect the person's time zone. So
Yeah.
Martucci, you said it wasn't your time zone?
Nope, it wasn't.
How close was it? What was it?
It wasn't totally not close enough.
What was
Show
it?
9 a.m. Mine
But it
showed
wasn't
9 a.m. and then I was
PST.
like,
Right. It wasn't
One more
Pacific.
second. I don't know what it was actually.
Bottom right.
This shows me. Let me
Oh,
try
one
again.
sec. Which
part of it is also you have to click on the side part where it says main
12 p.m.
main part.
You can
Main
see it
events.
on the
Here.
bottom right hand side too.
one sec. There's a different link that actually shows the main events one. So we'll actually see it with some content. And so is this
Vancouver
meeting
time.
at noon?
Oh, so you did figure out how to create the links to hide the other one.
Yeah. And then it sounds like in those links as well, we can also include the time zones if we wanted to. So we could have like, here's a link for the main events in Vancouver time, in Australian time, in East time, in UTC, in the different times. But we need to figure out what the sort of URL parameter is, because like in the first big gobbledygook thing I pasted in the chat, it's got time zone equal America, Vancouver. So we
Yeah.
can probably
Yeah.
find out what the
But,
different codes
yeah.
are to put it in.
I
Well, I
would-
went on that link and it just give me the UK time.
Oh, really?
That's
Yeah, wouldn't. It's supposed to be. It's trying to auto detect. I would rather have it auto detect and tell people look at the
Okay.
bottom right. than
Yeah, if
the
it's
most
able to,
50
that's
links and,
Way
I don't
better.
know. I mean, it didn't work for Martucci, but
Yeah.
what's it say in the bottom right
You want me
hand
to
corner?
send you emails addresses and then I can add you to it so you can add stuff when you're ready.
Second, so let me go to. What time zone are you in, Matush?
GMT +1.
One. Okay. So is that Warsaw?
Yep.
You try this one.
When I changed the link,
So So like, there's an example of that one for you. And then anybody that loads that should see it in your time zone. But I think to Bentley's point, we only want to use that if it, almost never does the auto detect. If it's, if it usually does it, I think he's right that we should definitely err on the side of, here's the link. And then, if it doesn't auto detect, maybe we just have instructions on how to change your own time zone.
Though, the second time I entered this very short link, it actually auto-detected.
Okay.
I don't know what it did, but I see Warsaw time, so it's correct at least.
Cool.
Though I don't know if it remember it from the previous time I changed the time zone to see all and then mine.
Yeah.
Oh, this is something different.
Well, earlier we did not have the auto detect on, and then I found it and turned it on. So I'd try that until people complain, and just tell them to be careful and check, look in the bottom right hand. And then Carrie, I don't know if you noticed that Adriel posted 2 links. One has the calendar highlighted, and I really like that because then you have the option to see both calendars or just one. And then in the introduction, I would put them as 2 separate calendars.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was
So for new people, they see that, and then maybe post, if you want to see them all in one calendar, here's that link. And I can probably edit the introduction. Although I want to make sure that you feel comfortable editing that introduction.
Well, I'm quite happy with what you do because you have a tendency to put things better. Because me saying, "Oh, there you go, there's a link," that's it. No explanation. There's a link. Have that. Have at it. Knock yourselves out.
Although sometimes I get busy and.
Well, if you get busy, just let me know and I'll go in there. But the technical stuff, I'm not too sure what to do with. And as I said, I was just going to add it to the page that the welcome page thing that we've got in Docs.
Oh, that's what I was talking about, I think.
Yeah, because you're better explaining things in a business sense, whereas I've got no business sense at all, eh? So I said, knock yourself out doesn't wash quite well with people who are businessly minded.
Yeah, and just to get those links, all you do is use the side panel on the left. Like you can add keywords, you can select the calendar, and then when you want to do that, just hit share. And it opens up a new tab with all that criteria in the URL, and then you can do that. And then if you want to get fancy, after the question mark, like the teamup.com/ID question mark, each of those things is a separate thing separated by an ampersand or by the and then you can pick and choose. Like I just sort of stripped out all the stuff that wasn't the calendars equal, and then that's how we got to just calendars.
I can't tell if they're using Google Calendar as an actual base for the work they did or if they just copied the heck out of it. But either way, it works. Unfortunately, their logo looks more like a calculator than a calendar. But
oh, yeah.
I'm like, calculator? Oh, no. Okay, it's calendar.
Yeah, that's a lot like a calculator. I didn't even notice that, but that's...
They should have just left the top as circles, and it would have been more like a calendar.
Well, I think they're trying to be clever and make a T out of the blue.
Yeah.
For team up, so it's... Yeah, I guess maybe they could have just not had it be a bar and had it be bubbles as well.
I think that would be a little clearer, but...
Or 7 days is still an odd number, and they could have had a T with 7. But that's a lot of dots for a logo. But 7 is a week, and therefore a calendar, and 3 is very much a number pad, a calculator.
That's a good point. The only thing is I don't know if there's enough room on, because they also use it as an icon for the browser tab.
Yeah, which then...
I think
you can make it smaller. Yeah. Because I think you can, for the favicons, I think you can make them 32 by 32. And then, they would be smaller dots. But
the question is when they...
Are we now solving team ups?
We solve everything.
Give us free
The problem is that calendars do look like calculators. So what they need to do is change the icon to something like in the spirit of old devices, giving shape to icons of modern internet. They should be using something like a papyrus scroll or something. I don't know what people used. like a long time ago for calendars. Like books, paper, stuff.
Actually,
Sundial.
a sundial. Yeah, that's what I was trying to think, Julie.
Yes.
There we go. We'll use a
nice.
sundial. Oh,
Um,
I was
We're just
thinking we were
talking
talking
about
about
old, using icons for old things that people don't know what they are anymore. Yeah, let's go all the way back to a sundial.
Maybe
Well,
it is an
good, like,
abacus. It could
is
be.
there any sort of like free group collaboration tools out there that are free forever that you know of? No,
Nothing's free.
nothing's free. No such thing as a
You
free
either
lunch.
pay for it or you're the or you're the goods being sold. But no, sorry.
True.
Being
That's why
very-
eventually we're gonna have to create one, and someone has to create one that's free and readily available and good, or we have to create it. Like, because if we have hundreds of people on something, paying tens of thousands of dollars a month doesn't make sense, but recreating it for tens of thousands of dollars a month absolutely does.
Okay, it's just that Ivana posted that, you know, because obviously the chat around the creating a funding business or whatever, invested in that, mentioned was there such a thing, and I didn't think there was because I know there's maybe a free
No.
like sign up for 30 days, and then after that you get charged for every member of the team. You know what I mean? When you don't even know who the team's going to be yet, you know. So
Yeah, I think it's very common. Of course, everyone has the same questions and the same, oh, social media, let's create a social media platform. But it's like, right, these are the same conversations we've been having for 6 months, right? Is that now, that being said, we've been looking for a calendar tool for just that amount of time. And we somehow, like, I don't think Team Up has only just come into existence in the last
I think
month
it's pretty
or two.
new.
Well, then there you go.
well, that's the only one I found that was really free
Bring things.
that you could actually, you know.
So
It is
maybe,
pretty
I guess
good.
what I'm saying, Carrie, if you found this one and you found Open Collective, maybe you're the magic spider that gets the
Well,
brain.
I'll keep on looking for stuff. But as I said, a lot of the stuff that I've come across is either free for 30 days,
Yeah.
and then they charge you a fee, and then they charge you for every person that you have on the team.
Yeah.
And then you can only, and they have it so you can, you know, after 10 people, you get charged more. And then you don't get off the things you can't share with anybody. So you're basically just having to keep it update yourself and share it with everybody and put, you know what I mean? So yeah, so I'll keep on looking for that.
Their copyright says 2014, so maybe they have been around for a while. I've been looking for calendar apps. I never ran across this.
I mean, that's one of
This
the
is why
big
we need
challenges
the
is
Yelp
finding.
Protect stuff. Because it is. We like, how do these things exist when we're looking
Yeah.
for them, trying to recreate them, and still, even when we're looking for them, we can't find them. Like, there needs to
think
be one central place to go and be like, what are
part of the
calendar
reason
tools?
is that those companies that offer free tools have to compete with companies that only offer paid tools, and the companies that offer paid tools are going to be able to, pay for more advertising and more SEO. And
Yeah, of course. That's why we, like,
So-
not we as in the five of us, but we as in collective humanity need to solve that problem to have one depository, repository to go to for.
The only reason I find them is actually when I fall across people doing projects and stuff, and then I go and have a nose. And if they maybe have a list, I'm like, ooh, what does that do? And so I have to go digging through everybody's list. like a snoopy person that I am, you know what I mean? I just like, ooh, look. So I
So
don't know. How would you create a Yelp then? What would
Well,
you need to do?
for the team game A, not team A.
Team A, Team
I'm on
A.
team B.
Team A.
Give me a bigger
there is-
lipstick.
there is Capterra.com, which kind of does that. Now, it doesn't do everything we said, but it is kind of a directory. And so, Carrie, if you're looking for other stuff, I'd suggest checking that out as part of your search.
Called
But-
Capture.
And actually, let's see if they have team.
Capterra. Oh yeah, I think I looked at them, and I was going through the list, and as I said, it was mostly free trials for a period of time.
yeah,
And I had a look at the forums
as Bentley
as
said,
well.
it's a very game A site.
Right.
Yeah. So, and it's, yeah. So, I've been thinking I'm also with I'm working with Open Global Mind and the Canonical Debate Lab group, and they all are trying to keep track of all these people in the space that are doing things. Like when Kialo came out and stuff, we were like, oh no. And Open Global Mind actually wants to use a lot of these sense-making apps and stuff like that. And then I'm with this other group called Mighty Minds, and we're going through methodologies on how to work with groups and stuff like that. So I think there's really need for a generic kind of app to where you could have a community driven directories, searchable directories, and not just like random search, but where you can do rating and you can do categories. Like you could say, you know, it's good at this and this is X. You can
So
create
just
whatever
be a
categories you
listed
want.
site then for that then.
Say that again.
It would just be a listing.
Well,
Listings.
it would be the closest I would think would be, and y'all, I don't know if this is just U.S. based, is consumer reports. So you're going to
Consumer
buy a
report.
fridge, and it says, okay, so this one's, you can look at just the fridges that are 13.5 cubic feet,
Right.
cubic meters. Sorry for the rest of the world. Uh, yeah, and so you could narrow things down by that, and then also you could rate it by like quality and easy to repair and all this different stuff. But having
Okay, so
having that be community driven rather than, you know, paying researchers to do it, I don't
right.
think there's a
So
system for that yet.
in terms of community tools, then you'd have it like free for what's free for 30 days,
Yeah.
what's free forever.
You'd have the
And
free trial and the free tiers
yeah,
and which features cost what.
okay.
I think it would end up being quite close to Capterra, but without the game maze stint. Because I think Capterra started out being what we're talking about, and then they found out, oh, we can monetize this.
And I
Right.
don't know if I mean, they have reviews, but it's not. I don't think it's quite community driven.
True, yeah, but
right.
Yeah, so like a community powered Capterra, but like with the idea of you can look for certain sort of for like the main features, and one product can have multiple features, and people can vote on it. And so I think it would be roughly the same, but with a fair number of changes, like it being community driven, and it being all about just is it good at serving this purpose, not is this company paying us to say they're good.
Yeah.
Which is largely what Capterra is now, unfortunately.
Adriel, does that fit anything within your system as far as the same thing? Because you have organizations, you have companies. Are you going to want to rate them on different metrics at some point in the future?
Yeah.
So it's the same tech. It's just companies rather than products or
Totally. Yeah. And long term, I've got a plan sort of under a different umbrella, but still sort of the same database where you'd be able to look at the products offered by a company, more for physical products, but it would actually be easier to do it for digital ones. So,
right, so, okay. Yeah. Right, well, I'll have a look at this as well, because I think I did look at this because I was looking for the CRM software, and I went through the list, and then I looked at the project management software, and there's all sorts of other stuff that's out there.
Yeah, I don't know why Capterra really, it just hurts my brain whenever I look at it. It's not that it's too complicated. It's something about their display or something, or they don't let me search on the right stuff.
To you?
To what?
Corporate.
No, I don't have a bias against corporate right now. Right. I just like GameBee, but I'm very corporate. No, it's just I think they're filtering and sorting and searching. Just it's like almost detailed enough, but not quite. And so it's this uncanny valley. It's like, oh, just give me a search box or give me full control, but don't. So they have like free trials, monthly subscriptions for the. You can filter apps by that.
There is, and it says it's crowdsourced. There's alternative2.net.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let me have a look at them.
Yeah, always check that out too.
I'm trying to see if they just have like, if they tend to go more like, I think, individual software. Like if you go to alternative2.net, the homepage, like if you scroll down, they just got a list of sort of the most common applications. So like you can go look at alternatives to Photoshop, and then it lists, sort of image editors and
right, okay.
You can say if they're free, if they're paid.
Okie dokie.
What kind of license?
So, alternative to Team Up Calendar. They of course have Google Calendar, Apple Calendar, Simple Calendar, MindTime, One Calendar, Web Calendar, DigiCal, something called Calendar.
what is it about humans that, it's 2020 and we still, for such a basic functionality, we don't have it. And
I think it goes to the same thing that it took us so long to find Team Up, is that everybody wants to sort of have their say and have their version of it. And unfortunately, with Game 8, they end up wanting to monetize it, and then that can kind of pollute the end purpose. And so you end up with, a million different alternatives to these alternative-seeking tools.
To such a thing as calendar, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so did we want to just put everything on UTC and not change it? And everyone, it's an hour off every summer or winter, however you look at it. Summer, I guess, because it's a shorter period.
Well, as I said, the current ones goes till October. So I don't know after October. Do you want to change it then and just leave it as it is for now?
Well, it's going to be confusing.
Oh.
Because
Okay,
I don't know.
Doing it at UTC. I also think there's like a million apocalypses that are going to happen between now and October. So who knows what time changes will happen between now and then. This might be the first year we decide not to have time changes.
Yeah. I know the UTC one, there was 2 for USA and Canada, and I just didn't know which one was which.
No, there's a UTC. It's
right.
Those are UTC plus 6 and UTC plus something. There's just UTC.
Right.
That's the one without time zones. So that's the one we'd want to switch it to. And then I would just have them go on forever and hopefully remember to turn it off if we ever stop doing a meeting.
Right,
and
okay.
Where is the UTC thing taking, like, is that just the default you mean, or is that like when we're listing the time in like the text? Or
No,
where is UTC
well,
coming
you
into
would
play?
have to also, anytime you put it in the text and we have PDT or PST, we'd probably need to change that to the UTC time. And people are just going to have to look it up, like everyone who's not in PDT, PST.
Right.
Pacific time.
I see. So that's mostly when, like, either the default of the calendar, if the auto sensing isn't working, it would default to UTC. And then anytime that we're like typing out, this meeting is at this time on this day, that would be in UTC.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that makes sense.
While we're at it, I suggest for the group we go to base 6 numbers instead of base 10. It's much more efficient. Because you can divide it into thirds more easily without having a rounding decimal, right?
We're good. How about base 12? I feel like it's better.
So
it's
like
like
the guy, there's a cool website that talks about the comparison between base 12 and base 6.
For what?
For
what
numbers.
We go to,
everything.
Everything.
It messes up everything. It literally
what else
means
go in
after
base
12
2?
comes.
And then we can just show the raw binary.
Now we fixed time zones. The next
We just
thing
need
is,
2 more numbers. We can go to base 12.
Yeah.
Or we can get rid of 4. Which 4 are we getting rid of? Which 4 digits are we?
Yeah.
To go from base 10 to base 6.
789.
That makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Not just like 3, 5, and 9.
6 is
Come
afraid
on.
of 7 because 7, 8, 9, right?
Fair enough. Okay. Should we say goodbye to YouTube and Facebook?
Goodbye, YouTube.
Tomorrow at the usual 9 a.m. I don't know what that is in UTC, but I will learn it.
We'll look it up.
I'll look it up. I think it's UTC minus, minus 7.
I know. Sexagesimal,
Yeah.
which is base. Yeah, going back to the basics, to the Sumerians. Mm-hmm.
So we're using hexadecimal then?
No, it's not hexadecimal. It's
Sexagesimal.
60. 60.
All right, okay. Oh, my
Okay,
head.
well, before we break more math, I'm saying goodbye to YouTube and Facebook. Bye.
Bye.
All right.